You ever get stuck on a problem that just will not go away? You try one fix and maybe it gets a little better for a minute, but then it's right back. It is so frustrating. Well, today we're going to dive into two really powerful tools that help you cut through all that noise and find what really matters so you can solve problems for good.
Okay, so let's set the scene with a classic scenario. Imagine a local coffee shop. The owner is just tearing their hair out because the online reviews are terrible. People are complaining, but the complaints are all over the place. I mean, where do you even begin to fix something like that?
And here's the thing. Think about it like this. Putting a bucket under a leaky ceiling, that's just treating a symptom. The real solution is finding and fixing the broken pipe that's hidden in the wall. That's the root cause. And way too often, we spend all our time and energy just managing buckets when we should be looking for that broken pipe.
So to find that broken pipe, our first tool is something called the Ishikawa diagram. The best way to think of it is like a super structured brainstorming session. It's a way to map out every single potential cause of our problem without getting completely lost in the weeds. It's also called a fishbone diagram, and you can totally see why, right? The problem itself is the head of the fish, and then the major categories of all the possible causes form the bones. This structure is genius because it stops us from just randomly guessing. It actually forces us to think systematically.
So let's build one for our poor coffee shop. We always start with the head of the fish. That's the main effect, the big problem we're trying to solve. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. Unhappy customers.
All right, now for the bones. We can use some standard categories to help guide our thinking. A classic one is people. So we ask ourselves, what human factors could be contributing to all this unhappiness? Could be training, maybe the baristas are undertrained. Could be staffing levels during that crazy morning rush, or maybe the staff just seem really stressed out. Each one of these ideas becomes a smaller bone, branching off the main one.
Okay, next up, let's add another major bone for process. This forces us to look at the actual workflow itself. Is the system for taking orders kind of clunky? Is there no standard recipe so drinks are inconsistent from one day to the next? All of these potential system-level failures get mapped out right here.
And following that same logic, we can add a category for equipment. What tools might be failing them? Maybe an unreliable grinder that's making the coffee taste weird, or an old espresso machine that's just way too slow, or even something as simple as the Wi-Fi being terrible. We can keep going, adding bones for things like materials, the coffee beans themselves, or measurement. Every single potential tool-related issue goes on the map.
So, look at that. We now have this incredible, comprehensive map of everything that could possibly be going wrong. But this can also be a little overwhelming. I mean, trying to fix all of these things at once would be impossible. We need to focus. We have to find the single broken pipe, not try to fix every faucet in the building.
And this is where our second tool comes in. To find that focus in all this chaos, we're going to use something called the Pareto principle. This is the absolute key that will turn our messy map of possibilities into a clear, actionable plan.
You might know the Pareto principle as the 80-20 rule. And it's a really simple idea. It basically states that for a lot of things in life, roughly 80% of the consequences come from just 20% of the causes. In other words, a small number of your problems are usually responsible for the vast majority of your pain.
So how do we find our 20%? Well, we need data. We can't just guess. The fishbone diagram told us what things we should look for, and now we just gather some simple numbers. So our coffee shop owner tracks complaints for a month and gets this list. We can see a few different issues, but just look at those frequencies.
Now watch what happens when we visualize that data in a simple bar chart, ordered from the biggest problem to the smallest. Boom! The most important problem becomes instantly undeniably clear. That long wait time bar just towers over everything else.
What this chart does so brilliantly is it separates the vital few problems from the trivial many. The long wait time is our one vital issue. It's the broken pipe that's causing most of the damage. And this is the magic moment where the two tools connect. We take this critical problem and we go right back to our fishbone diagram. Is the wait time caused by people, like being understaffed, or process, like a clunky workflow, or equipment, like that slow machine? The Pareto tells us what to fix, and the Ishikawa tells us where to look for the cause.
So you can see, these tools aren't meant to be used separately. They form this incredible one-two punch for solving problems effectively, guiding you from total chaos to crystal clarity.
Let's just break it down side by side. The Ishikawa diagram helps you think wide. It asks, what could all the potential causes be? It gives you a map. The Pareto chart helps you dig deep. It asks, what is the biggest cause? Confirmed by our data, it gives you a target.
This gives us a super simple, but really powerful 4-step workflow you can use for almost anything. Step 1. Clearly define your problem. Step 2. Use the Ishikawa diagram to brainstorm all the possible causes. Step 3. Go collect some data on those possibilities. And finally, Step 4. Use a Pareto chart to pinpoint exactly where to focus all your effort.
By combining these methods, you're not just guessing anymore, and you're not just putting out fires. You're actually becoming a systematic problem solver, armed with a process to find and fix what truly matters.
If there's one big takeaway today, it's this. Stop trying to do everything. The goal isn't to fix every single little issue that pops up. It's about using these tools to find those vital few problems and focusing all your energy right there. That's how you make a real, lasting impact. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Whether it's in your job, your studies, or even your personal life, what is the one big problem you're facing right now? And maybe more importantly, what is the 20% of effort that might just solve 80% of it?